Hi, and welcome back to
Inspired to Game. I'm Sean.
And I am Lola. Today we are talking about Neotopia. So this is an abstract strategy game for 2 to 4 players by Arcane Wonders, who we want to thank for sending us a copy of the game to review. Now before we get into that review, we'll give you a very quick overview of how to play. In Neotopia, you play entrepreneurs in the future working together to create the most advanced and harmonious city on the planet. On your turn, you must do 3 actions. They can be drawing a card either from the offer or the top of the deck, or you can place an element from a factory onto an adjacent region. An element can only be placed adjacent to an already placed token. Additional free actions you can do include using a bonus tile that you have previously earned, or building a project card. You may only build a project in a region where you have just completed the corresponding arrangement as presented on the card. You can only play it in that region too if the previously placed one was not of the same type. Immediately, when the last tile is removed from a factory, it is replenished from the production tiles. As you place production cards in the 3 areas, they will be scored immediately. The end of the game is signaled once the production tiles have emptied, at which point you'll look at each of the regions. Every player will count their largest cluster in their player color and add that to that region's score. Take note that the region that you scored the lowest in is multiplied by 3 for your final score. Once all the scores have been added up, you will see who contributed the most to the beautiful new city of Neotopia. Now, the artwork of this game is what first attracted me to it. It's absolutely beautiful, both from the box to the board, and I really love the acrylic tiles.
Yeah, the acrylic tiles, they're not really necessary in a game like this. You're not pulling anything out of a bag, but it's still nice to have them as you're just laying them out and sandwiching them together to form those patterns.
And it makes it really beautiful as well as you're building all the different patterns and they're growing in the various areas. So there's a really nice aesthetic component to this. Which gets us into the theme. I love the theme as well. So this takes place in 2055 and you're trying to create this essentially like a utopian beautiful city where everything is in harmony, and because of that you're encouraged to work in all the different districts, and you need diversity of the projects that you're building and such. So it's got a really great theme to it.
Yeah, and the theme really gets into how the game is scored and the strategy. You just get the theme as part of the components and what you're doing, not as that idea of balance really builds into the scoring as well.
Yeah, that's really true. And as an abstract strategy game though, theme is light, right? So because of that, it's something where it's there, but it's abstract. It's an abstract game.
So the main mechanics of the game are tile placement and pattern creation, and the 2 of those added together make this a really puzzly game. What cards do you collect? What tiles do you try and put down? What bonuses do you try and work your way towards so that you can create those patterns faster than your opponents?
And it's an abstract strategy game, which is my jam. I love an abstract strategy game. I think that they do it really, really well. I really enjoy not only creating the patterns on the board, but also extrapolating from what's already there to create new patterns. So there's a lot of satisfaction, especially for a visual person like myself, to see the cards, to see my cards and what's out there, and to see which ones can I build with the least amount of movement. There's a lot of strategy here too, and particularly because you can only put a project down if it's not over top of the same type of project. So that means there's a bit of mixing and matching that's going on.
Yeah, and that's where you run into the problems, because if you think, oh wow, I can do that really easily because most of the elements are already there, probably because it was from the same project set. So you double check that before you try and make your move.
And it means that you need some harmony there too, because each project set has a certain color that it uses, usually 2 colors that it alternates different patterns with. So it means to get that diversity, you need to get those other colors in there. So this is a very simple game to play. Pretty much anybody can play it. It's a great gateway entry game, but at the same time, so it's very simple. Learn it in 5 minutes and very quick to set up. But as the game progresses, it gets a little bit more thinky because of the puzzle.
As you develop your strategy, you learn that, well, you want to spread those points out across the board, because 24 points in one section is 24 points. 24 points spread across 3 sections could get you 32 points or more.
Yeah, because the most important thing about scoring that's interesting is whatever of the 3 areas you are lowest in is going to score times 3, which means you have to play a balanced game. The bonus tokens are really great as well. So you can work to get them, and when you get them, they offer lots of various actions that add to the strategy of the game. Now, they're also worth 3 points at the end of the game if you don't use them. If you get a bunch and hoard them up, that can be worth a tremendous amount of points. However, they can also be very useful to use and bulk up your overall points out onto the board. So I really love the bonus tokens there. I think the game is very well balanced as well, and with luck and strategy too. So there's a lot of strategy going on here, and sometimes there's some luck with, say, maybe somebody pulled the card you wanted, or placed the card that you were going to place down first and now you can't place it, or just took a spot that you were planning on using or a color you were going to use. However, there is so much opportunity to pivot here, and that's where the strategy really comes in, because you have to work with a certain degree of harmony with everyone around the table. It means that there's always something you can do, there's always a way to go, and you just have to pivot to find that strategy change, and I really love that.
Yeah, I find the elements of luck are the what cards are coming up, not so much what your opponents are playing, but what cards are coming up in the offer and what tiles are coming up out of the factory. So what are the next colors that are coming up? If you're waiting for a blue and it's not coming up in the next factory, then you end up either hoarding that card for a little bit longer or trying to pivot in a direction you can't. And so the luck can be a little hard done by, and there are no catch-up mechanisms in the game. So if you get bad luck, run of bad luck, then that might just be what ends the game for you.
And I don't really see it as bad luck in the same way, because it's if you're not getting the blues that you want, well, then you just pick up a new card and do something else. So there's always that pivot. So it's more of a degree of your ability to pivot in the moment with a different strategy versus getting, caught on doing something. And the nice thing is there's no limit to the amount of cards you can have in your hand. So if there was that card that you weren't able to do for this round, well, just hold on to it, pivot your strategy, and that one might come to fruition a little bit later on with another production tile that comes up. So this plays really well as a 2-player game. We didn't find that it was hampered at all by that. There's very little player interaction here, which is actually a kind of game that we prefer. So the only interaction really is somebody took a card you wanted or play something where you were planning on. Otherwise, there's not a lot.
Yeah, other than the fact that you can build on what your opponents are doing,
Yes.
and sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's a bad thing.
Yeah, and it can be a really good thing to do that. Yeah. Yeah, so that's a really satisfying thing of the game, is because you start off, you have to build all your things from scratch, but as it goes, you get to the point where most of the time, I add one here and I got this one. I add one there, I got that one. Because then you can start accomplishing a lot more in your turn, which is always a satisfying feeling. So this has a lot of replayability as far as I see, so it's easy to get to the table. We actually have been playing it quite a lot. It's quick to set up, it's really easy to play, and plays for about 45 minutes. So that makes it a really great filler, a really great game to pull out on a weeknight when maybe otherwise you don't feel like anything much more convoluted and difficult. And it's just a pleasure to play.
Yeah, and the mixture, the shuffling, the random elements of the cards and the tiles are going to be different every game, so it's going to be a different game every time you play.
Yeah. So what is something that you like most about the game then?
What I like most about the game is there's an element in scoring of you get points for a contiguous set of your color, and that's a great part of I said there was no catch-up mechanism. That's the closest you come in this game, but it is a great thing because if everybody ends up building patterns with your specific color in it, then you could end up with a lot of points in different areas, and it's each area gets those points, and then from there the lowest one gets the ×3. So again, another kind of balancing mechanism. So I really like the way it's scored, and it forces you to develop a strategy, a balanced strategy. What about you? What did you like most?
Well, as I mentioned, I really love an abstract strategy game, so I love that element of it. I love working with tiles. It's why Azul has long been in my top 10, even though we have so many games. I love the tiles. I love the strategy of an abstract game. I love the visualness of it. So it's the visual puzzle, and how it gets more and more exciting as the game progresses, because it's getting easier and easier. It's just a lot to think about, and I really enjoy that. And I love the theme. Like, I really love a nature-based theme, utopian type theme, a beautiful world, and let's all work in harmony theme while we're trying to beat each other, you know? So if this game sounded interesting to you, if it sounded like it might be your cup of tea as well, you can check it out. It's already out and available. So thank you so much for watching today.
If you've enjoyed this content, please support the channel by subscribing.
And as always, happy gaming, folks. Hi, and welcome back to... No, I want to do that again.
Ha!
I wasn't happy with it.
Getting this, wanting this.
And welcome back to...
Inspired to Game. I'm Sean.
That's Inspired to Game.
I will enunciate.
By Arcane Wonders, who we want to thank for sending us this copy to review. I was going to say prototype, but it's not a prototype. I'm doing it again. Okay. These elements represents an element.
How about you? What did you like most?
Oh, let's do this. And it's just a lot. It's just so juicy to... Ooh.